Ivy and Bean, one big happy family. A naughty problem. For a while, Ivy and Bean sat in Bean's driveway. Then Bean said, "Let's go show our arm to Dino." Maybe it would strike fear in his heart. But it didn't, because Dino wasn't home. Dino's mom answered the doorbell. She had one pair of glasses on her head and one on her eyes. "What happened to you two?" she asked, squinting at their tied-up arm. Bean always thought it was better not to tell grown-ups exactly what was going on, but Ivy answered right away. "We're making ourselves into twins by growing our skin together." Dino's mom took the pair of glasses on her head and put them over the glasses on her eyes to take a closer look. "What a good idea! Whose house are you going to live in once you're done?" "Mine," said Bean. "We're going to switch off," said Ivy. Bean wished Ivy would stop saying that. She liked her own house. That's where her mom and dad were. Unfortunately, Nancy was there too. But still, all her stuff was there. She decided to change the subject. "Where's Dino?" she asked. "He's over at Sophie W.'s playing Bannis," said Dino's mom. Bannis! Bannis was a famous pancake court game. It was baseball played with a tennis ball. Dino and Bean and Leanna had thought it up after Leanna broke a window with a softball. You almost never broke a window in Bannis, partly because tennis balls were soft, and partly because in Bannis the bat was a bamboo stick. You hardly ever hit the ball, and if you did, the stick usually broke. Bean loved Bannis. She loved whacking the tennis ball as hard as she could and then throwing the broken stick on the ground. Sometimes she spit in the dirt too, just for good measure. But now she was a twin. You couldn't play Bannis with one arm tied to another person. Especially if that person was Ivy. Ivy couldn't hit things with sticks. Ivy didn't even like hitting things with sticks. Ivy liked reading books. Bean imagined herself sitting in a chair with Ivy while she read a book for an hour. She imagined Ivy's mom kissing her goodnight. She imagined never, ever playing Bannis again. Yikes! Her life wasn't getting better. It was getting worse. Bean and Ivy said goodbye to Dino's mom and went to sit on the grass. "So this is being a twin," said Bean. They were both quiet for a long time. Bloop, bloop, bloop. "You know," said Ivy at last, "I don't think we should do this." She wiggled their arm. "What? How come?" asked Bean. She tried to sound disappointed. "It's mean to our parents," explained Ivy. "If it works, they'll be really sad when we're at the other person's house, especially my mom. At least your parents have Nancy." "But that's Nancy," said Bean. "My parents would miss me a lot." Ivy nodded. "We have to think of other people." Bean nodded too. "We have to be unselfish. Nancy would be way worse without me around." "Even though it would be great for us," said Ivy. Bean's knot was so good they couldn't untie it. They had to chew it. First Bean chewed, and then Ivy chewed. Finally, with one big chew, Bean bit through the string, and they each had 2 arms again. "Darn," said Bean, waving her arm around. "No more twin." "And I'm still spoiled," said Ivy, waving her arm around. Bean stopped waving her arm. "You know, Ivy, if you were spoiled, you wouldn't have thought of our parents. You would only have thought of yourself." Ivy thought about that. "You never did seem very spoiled to me," said Bean. "Maybe I don't really need a sister," said Ivy. "Right, sisters are nothing but trouble. Especially that Kalia," said Ivy. "Phew! All right then, I'm going to play some Bannis," Bean said, swinging an imaginary bamboo stick. "I'm going to read," said Ivy. "You're a big weirdo," said Bean. "No, you're a big weirdo," said Ivy. See you! See you!" Off they ran, in different directions. Bean broke 2 bamboo sticks playing bannus. She spit in the dirt, too. After that, she went home and did her regular things, like eating dinner and both wanting and not wanting to take a bath, and going to sleep. She forgot all about sisters and twins and spoiledness until the next day at school, during lunch, when Ivy looked in her lunchbox and said, "Oh, here." She pulled out the jiggly man and threw him to Bean. "You can have him." Bean looked at his little gummy blue body. "For real? Forever?" Ivy nodded. "You are not spoiled at all," Bean said, jumping to her feet. She raced to the nearest wall and threw the jiggly man at it. Splat! He hung there for a moment. Then, bloop, bloop, bloop. Down the wall he went. Eric popped up next to her. "Ew, is he made out of boogers?" "Yep," said Bean. "Blue boogers." "Let me try." Generously, Bean let Eric throw the jiggly man. Splat! Bloop, bloop, bloop. Then Leo wanted to try. Then Emma. Then Margalie. Bloop, 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 bloop. Pretty soon there was a line of kids waiting to throw him against the wall. Bloop, bloop, bloop. "I want one of these guys," said Doucet, handing the jiggly man back to Bean. "Where'd you get him?" "Ivy gave him to me," said Bean. "My turn," said Vanessa, holding out her hand. Bean hesitated. "Pretty nice of Ivy to give him to me, huh?" Yeah, said Vanessa, still holding out her hand. "Pretty unspoiled, don't you think?" asked Bean. "I mean, a spoiled kid would never do something like that, right?" She looked at Vanessa. Vanessa looked at the jiggly man. "Right," she said. That was good enough for Bean. She handed the gummy blue guy to Vanessa. "Here you go. Give him a good splat." Bloop, bloop, bloop.